Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Game Shed Pod. Let's hope it sticks. Let's hope the episodes keep rolling. It's just me today, and hopefully this is going to be a weekly, if not more regular occurrence on the channel and other streaming platforms, where we just talk everything games, everything that we've been up to in terms of the gaming space or the film space or whatever it is, the techie space, let's just call it. Today's episode is going to be pretty short just because it's me rambling on, talking about what I've been playing, what I've been up to, a little bit of very brief gaming news today, specifically looking at Borderlands 4, and then answering one question at the end. So stay tuned. I'll see how we do in terms of talking, going through it. If there's lots of cuts, lots of changes, lots of edits, my apologies. We're in the teething phase of this. This is brand new. I'm just starting it. So, as all good podcasts go, it's just going to be me talking. And then next week or in the next few days, we'll get different people in who share what they've been doing and their own unique opinions on games, their gaming past, and a bunch of interesting things. As usual, as I always say, I'm always open to feedback, so please hit me with feedback, disagree with me, give your own input in the comments, and also just give some general advice and tips about what you'd like to hear from me. If you can see some smoke coming across me, we've got the incense going. We're in the new game shed, which very much looks like a game shed. Over time, hopefully it looks better. Hopefully it's cozier. Hopefully I don't look so cold and I don't look so red in the cheeks when we get the heater in. It's good times. It's exciting times ahead. Anyway, I want to start, and this will probably carry on through the remainder of this podcast, is starting off with a small section called What Have I Been Playing, or What Have We Been Playing? And the reality is, for me, with a house move recently and a holiday recently, I haven't played too much. And I've kind of just been getting back into the swing of things and getting the legs turning again, or I suppose the thumbs turning again rather than the legs. And all I've been playing so far since being back is two things. Number one is World of Warcraft. Who would have thunk it? Who would have heard of it? A little thing called WoW. And I think it's kind of the same as when I left with World of Warcraft. Whenever you play this and you commit to playing World of Warcraft, you also commit yourself to forever thinking that you're going to be left behind. And so I kind of took 2 weeks off of playing World of Warcraft, and those of you who play it will go, 2 weeks off is crazy. And those of you who've never played it are thinking, why would you ever play it? But it's been a gradual addiction over the last year, and if you haven't played it, maybe you should give it a go. But anyway, I took some time off. We're back now, really just getting back to grips with the game, learning what's going on. One thing I've noticed with World of Warcraft more than any other game for me is that if I stop playing it, I forget how to play it. And that's not the case for most games, because the reality is you have a controller for lots of games. This is my old Xbox 360 controller for those video viewers. And is a few buttons. There's not too much to remember. You can get back into any FPS pretty quickly. I find personally, maybe I'm just not experienced enough with these MMO games, when I take time off, I forget how to play the game. And so it's been getting back to that. To be honest with you, the World of Warcraft, I'm very much looking forward to the new iterations of what's to come. I'm looking forward to when housing releases off in the future. I'm looking forward to the what's it called? I'm gonna forget the name of it. All I know is green, Legion. I'm looking forward to the Legion remix and all of that good stuff. So I am looking forward to the game, and I'm enjoying getting back to grips with it. As per usual with World of Warcraft, I always have a very much a love-hate relationship with it, and actually I think that's an intentional thing on Blizzard's part about how to keep people engaged in the game. It's like the highs and the lows of World of Warcraft. But other than that, the other things that I've been playing is on the big screen in the living room of my new house, sat on the sofa, Skate 3 on my Xbox. And for me, Skate 3 is one of the greatest games ever made. I absolutely love Skate 3 in terms of the couch gaming experience. And I remember when it came out back in the day, playing with lots of friends online, which was awesome, doing the Hall of Meat challenges, like jumping off the buildings, trying to break as many bones as possible. The X-ray mode on that, I forgot how good that actually is in the Hall of Meat one. Like, I can't, what year did Skate come out? Maybe it must have been 2010 or something like that. I mean, let's do a quick check. The good thing about me being sat here right now is I actually have the computer right in front of me. Let's see what the release date for that was. Skate 3 release date 2010. It's on the money. Okay, so yeah, Skate 3 was awesome when that came out. The X-ray mode, I just like. There's some games you go and play, and Skate 3 is one of them, where you remember that they're timeless. They work so well in what they do that there hasn't been something since that. I've tried like newer Tony Hawk's and Riders Republic and things over the years since. And I think Skate falls into a Skyrim category for me, which is games after it just haven't hit the same spot that Skate 3 hit for me. Skate 3 just tickles an itch in a certain way that none of those new games do. And I know that back in the day when I used to play PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Tony Hawk was the game. I absolutely loved Tony Hawk, got a huge amount of nostalgia for that. The soundtrack is sick. The gameplay was great. The more arcadey feel of it was really appropriate for those consoles back in the day, I think, like the timed elements of it. But nowadays, Tony Hawk games are just, they feel like sticky. Like the gameplay feels sticky. Whereas Skate 3 feels much more fluid. And when I was sat playing on my couch, chilling out, I had my coffee in my hand, and I was just playing, just chilling out. It feels so fluid and it feels right. You're like, if this is how you control a skateboard with your thumbs, this is how I imagine it. Whereas I think with the Tony Hawks, for me, you like can do the craziest ollie of all time, and then you kind of just get stuck to things, and then you like float along the grinds and things. Whereas Skate's much more intuitive. And I know that one is like a more like a sim. Obviously it's not, because you can do like a Christ Air triple backflip on Skate off a building, and one's more arcadey. But I just love Skate 3. And actually couch gaming is something that I have done less and less as I've got older, as I've had a PC set up. But actually I think it's something that I really want to get into more. I very much miss sitting down with friends or by myself, just on the couch, nice and warm, nice and cozy, playing some games. And so Skate 3 today, and I played it this morning, which is crazy because it's 9 a.m. I literally woke up, got my coffee, and I played it for 20 minutes. And that's the other cool thing about those couch games that I don't really feel so much with PC gaming. Like couch gaming, I very much feel like I can just come into the room, sit down for 20 minutes, do a couple of missions, do a couple of challenges, turn it off, and I'm onwards. It honestly, today kind of threw me back to being much younger, and my parents were not into gaming, not into tech, any of that stuff at all. So playing, we had like a limit on how much we could play, and I remember sometimes sneaking down onto the PlayStation 2, plugging it in, and trying to run through a little mission on Ratchet and Clank. It's a good time. So I think maybe as I'm nearing my 30s, the ripe old 30s, I'm actually developing that nostalgia bug. And I was talking to a friend of mine who will be on this pod soon, fingers crossed, about both not really understanding people who went and bought older consoles, but now that we're getting a bit older, we're totally in that phase of wanting to buy the old consoles and play the nostalgic games that we used to play. Because it's true, for a long time I was very much like, I don't like the look of older games, I'm not going to go and play an older game, I want the new game. And now that's not the case. And the last bit of what I've done this week is I've also purchased Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers on PlayStation 2. When that comes in, I am going to be couch gaming that, just relaxed, hot cup of coffee, playing that game. And I think what I like to do is go back and play all of the Lord of the Rings games, at least in, maybe from the late 90s onwards. I tried to play the 1982 Hobbit game, but it's literally like some sort of weird text game, which I'm sure everything was back in the 80s. So don't get me wrong about that, but it was a bit of a challenge to play. Mainly because it was just like, it's an online format that you can play it and you can't purchase it anymore for anything. So but yeah, so I'm gonna play that. I'm really looking forward to that. Lord of the Rings is totally one of my favorite games of all time and is something that I want to play a lot more. Apologies, I'm just checking down on my phone to check whereabouts I am in the schedule because I've actually written things down. But Lord of the Rings, and know that particular duo of games, Two Towers, Return of the King, awesome games, and I have probably my best memories playing with my brothers on that game. So hopefully I'll be able to get them round and we'll be able to throw back to the good old days of no worries, no job, no responsibilities, just playing Lord of the Rings. And inevitably, I've got two older brothers. So can you guess which character I got to play the most? That's correct. I was always Gimli. And now in hindsight, I'm like, Gimli might have been the cooler one. But back in the day, I wanted to be Legolas. Didn't we all want to be Legolas? We all wanted to have long blonde hair, light as a feather with the bow. Let's just be real about it. That's just what we wanted. Okay, cool. Should we move on? We should move on. I'm talking as if I've got anyone else to talk to. Let's move on to a bit about Borderlands 4. And there's been lots of gaming news, lots of new releases, but I wanted to definitely for the gaming news section in future be bouncing it off another person for different opinions, because the reality is if it's just my opinion, yeah, you want a mixed opinion, don't you? You want people to have different thoughts and opinions. And I just want to preface the Borderlands 4 segment by saying I haven't picked up the game. I haven't played the game. But a bit of background is I've played every Borderlands up until now. I am mainstream and boring in my approach. Borderlands 2 is my favorite. My least favorite is probably the pre-sequel. And I didn't mind the most recent games either. I didn't like Tiny Tina's that much. Borderlands 3, I kind of like the gameplay. I kind of like the weapons. It was okay. And on all of those games, I've played all the way through to normal completion and not the Vault Hunter mode. So all of them I've completed, but I haven't then done the true completion of Borderlands, which is continuing and Vault Hunter mode, Ultimate, so on and so on. So I haven't done that. And for this game, I haven't played it, but I will be picking it up soon, I think. First thing is, and I want to... Well, I think that the approach that they've taken as a team has been kind of controversial. They've kind of said it's going to cost this much money, kind of deal with it, you'll work out a way of buying it. And they've taken a very hardline approach, which in some ways I kind of appreciate at the moment, because there's a lot of, in the gaming industry, there's a lot of fluff at the moment. There's a lot of trying to please people and then letting down people. And I think Gearbox here have just been like, take it for what it is. This is how it is. We don't really care. And that kind of annoys people. And I totally get it, because you're like, ooh, like, it doesn't feel, as a consumer, it doesn't make you feel very appreciated. But in the same light, I kind of enjoy the straight upness of it, even though it's a bit brutal. But anyhow, so the high cost in general, my mind boggles at the price of games nowadays. They're becoming more and more expensive. I think in England, it's something like £60 now if you're buying it fresh with no sale. If you're in the US, that's probably $70 or something like that, I'd imagine. That gap has got far too close for my liking. And so they're expensive. Games are expensive now. But as I always say in general, buying one game every couple of months is not so bad. And actually, for the amount of time that you play it, they're worth it. They are worth it. It just feels a bit bad on the old wallet lining whenever you're forking out £70 or however much it is. And as usual, I know that there's a really big disparity between user review and the actual reviewers. Let's call them the actual... We're all reviewers of games, right? We can all form our own opinions, but I'm talking about the main resources who review things. And there's a big disparity here. And I think that comes from, one, looking purely at gameplay, story, and a great, having a good rig to play the game on. And I think the consumer's opinion comes much more from the months building up and Gearbox, how they've been communicating. It comes from people spending a good amount of money, a hefty amount of money on pre-orders, and that's a whole different story. Should any of us be pre-ordering things and then being upset about it? Is like, with reviews nowadays, I kind of go like, pre-order comes with risk, right? And you can usually get your money back, but I think, in my opinion, is if you're going to pre-order something, not really knowing how good it is, you should always sort of expect to be slightly disappointed. It's rare nowadays that with pre-orders and ultimate edition bundles that you're going to be completely satisfied. And I think as consumers we should probably learn from that a little bit and be like, maybe I could not pre-order it. I know that lots of games now, they're very tactical. WoW being one of them, is there's always a benefit of pre-ordering. There's a getting ahead, or there's an additional skin, and so if you've got the money, buy it, fine. And if you're a bit unsure, just wait. The skin is not the end of the world unless that's something that you really want. And so yes, disparity. But I wanted to just quickly run through the general reviews, and the reviews are good. The reviews are good. So we'll run through them quickly. We've got Open Critic, 85 and 95% recommendation, pretty good. We'll look at Jewel Shockers, which gave a 9 out of 10. Their kind of response was sheer diversity of characters, gears, never-ending fun. That's what you get from Borderlands. We've got some of the bigger ones. We got GameRank giving it an 8 out of 10. And this is an exciting thing for me as someone who's played the Borderlands games, is in GameRant, they're really just saying that it's gone back to its old ways. And boldly, lots of them are claiming it's like Borderlands 1, 2 vibe. And if you're a Borderlands fan who's maybe not played the last few games and you're waiting for this one, hearing that thing is like, that's the golden touch. This is the thing we want to hear. It's like Borderlands 2. Because anyone who's played Borderlands probably, when they're looking at reinstalling a game because they're a bit bored, reinstalls Borderlands 2. So if this can replace that for something newer, something a bit fresher, something that looks a bit cleaner, freaking awesome. And so that's really exciting. So Game Rant also, 8 out of 10. We had GameSpot 7 out of 10. And I think GameSpot's an interesting one. Their kind of feedback is it feels like they're battling against Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 having got not such a good reception. Their take and review was really focused on this being a pushback against that. Like, we're not doing that anymore. And again, I think that's kind of good on average because people didn't enjoy it as much. Like I said, Borderlands 3 for me, if they said it was similar to that, I'd probably play it. It doesn't bother me too much. We had Games Radar 4 out of 5. Again, talking about Borderlands, one of the great things about Borderlands for me is the storytelling, the characters, the comedy, the absurdity, the ridiculous things that happens. Like, do you remember? I can't remember which Borderlands it is. But there's the Borderlands where you're just going through the quest, and then there's a quest that you bump into, and there's just one of the psychos, and he's just like, shoot me in the face. That's the quest. The quest is shoot me in the face. And sure, no problem. Or there's the quest where it's like, Jack's on the Echo device, and he's like, don't jump off here. Totally shouldn't jump off here. Don't do it. You jump off here. You finish the quest. You fail the quest. You get an achievement. That's the Borderlands magic. It's that absurdity, the ridiculous moments that make you go like, that is not in another game. And for me, that's what really I like about it, because it reminds me of the game. I can be playing another game and then it will remind me of Borderlands, or there's tons of references. And I think from what I've seen online from different people, this Borderlands has a very mixed reception of its comedy approach. Some people are saying, yeah, it's classic. I like it. Other people are just saying it's straight up cringe. And I think I'll have to make that judgment for myself. I wouldn't want to say what it is or it isn't. So we'll leave it as that. We'll see what the comedy's like. I think it will be fine. I don't see why it wouldn't. Let's go on to another big one. IGN, 8 out of 10. A brief summary we've got here. Gives the series a massive kick in the pants it has needed, with a fantastic open world, greatly improved combat. Even bugs and invisible walls can sometimes throw off that groove. So yeah, lots of the stream titles I've seen out there have been like Buglands 4 and things like that, and there's been problems with the saving. Some of you might remember back in the older Borderlands, there was plenty of bugs with being able to save the game and having to restart your saves and things like that. So it's kind of nothing new. I think the problem is now the expectation of polishedness that comes from charging so much for a game. And I know that we're coming back to that money thing, and I don't want to do it over and over again, but I do think that if you're asking people to spend loads of money on games now, which all games are. Like, there's not many games which are cheaper. You need to make sure it's polished, and I think that these big game companies now are coming up against more small indie type developers, or off brands. Not off brands are wrong, but basically when teams from the bigger studios leave and create their own studio, competing with them, and those smaller studios doing absolutely phenomenal, slick, clean jobs, which makes these really expensive AAA games, when they've got loads of bugs, makes everyone say, well, they're just a small indie company. And it becomes a bit of a meme that there would be glitches in a game which is $70. Again, to be expected. It's a game. Games are buggy. But I think it's certain games that it's more endearing. Skyrim, my favorite game of all time, I think, and we'll go on to that, is incredibly buggy, but that's Skyrim. That's what you want. I just don't think people feel the same way with this. Okay, let's look at a couple more. I wanted to go down to another one I thought was quite interesting. It was from Well Played. Yeah, Well Played. That was it. An Ash Wailing, and it got a 9 out of 10, which is freaking awesome. And I thought an interesting line on it was, ton of modern sensibility to establish itself not simply as a fun co-op shooter, but as a definitive example of what a fun co-op shooter should be. And that's cool because co-op games are kind of growing back in again. And I know that they've always been around, but we've seen things like Helldivers recently, which has been amazing, incredible feedback from that game. And this co-op, 2 to 4 player thing, I think is really going to continue booming and getting bigger and bigger over time. I think people are just enjoying co-op shooters a lot more. And that's certainly why I'll be diving into Borderlands 4. It will be sometimes to play by myself, but mainly to play with friends, and to have that casual conversation whilst playing the game and experiencing it together. So I think that's exciting. I think its co-op features being good. I mean, what did we expect from Borderlands, It was always going to be good. It was always going to be decent. And so overall with Borderlands, I think despite the possible problems with its performance and whether your rig's good enough to run it, I'm certainly about to find out whether mine can run it. I think that's a big problem. I think the developers saying that if you can't play it tough, get a better rig is a bit of a problem. But overall, from what I'm seeing, the game looks good. It sounds good. The gameplay looks fun. The guns look fun, and the reviews are good. So if you were looking at the reviews from the big article writers, the big reviewers, you'd go for it. You wouldn't even think about it. But if you were to compare it against the the Twitter sphere, but we should all be careful of the Twitter sphere. Yeah, you think maybe differently. My personal opinion is I'm going to wait for one more big juicy update. Optimizing update, and then I'll probably go for it. But alas, that's Borderlands 4. And like I said, in future we'll do more news sections, and we'll get some more interesting people to talk about their thoughts on things and bring their own news. I'm just aware that it's just me talking about it today. Okay, and moving on then to the last section of today's mini pod. We're just going to be doing a random question at the end, and it's going to be for me to answer and for whoever comes on also to answer, to bring their own ideas. But today I'd like to ask you, if you've made it to this point, to give me your answer in as much or as little depth as you'd like. And the question of today is simply, if you could only play one game forever, what game would you play? Now, there's one rule for this game, and only one, and it's that you cannot modify the game. So you can't add mods that make it infinitely playable. And now I think when I was thinking about this, I was having to be really tactical, and I was thinking, can I give two answers? And you can give two answers, and one should be an offline game, a single player game that you play by yourself. Another one I think should be an online game that you play with others. And I had lots of thoughts about this game, games that I wanted to say, and then I just realized that I'd probably get bored of them. And the easiest answers are always MMOs. If you're into MMOs, this is easy for you because you've probably got the game that you play. And so my instinct is to go, well, I play World of Warcraft because it would be updated basically forever. and it would keep going. But I removed that as an option for myself because it's the easy answer and it's comfortable. And so instead, I've gone with two games. And the two games that I've currently gone with are an offline game of Skyrim. Why? Because I think forever there will always be a time where I want to play Skyrim, where I want to either play it on my PC or I want to do it sat on the sofa and I want to experience the world. I want to go out into Whiterun. I want to do the whole Dragonborn quest line again. And I've got very close to completing Skyrim, which is kind of crazy. I went through a phase when I was younger on my Xbox 360 of making sure I had gone to every single location on the map, as in I literally got to the max number of discovered locations. I'd completed all the caves that I could that weren't bugged out. And Skyrim will forever be a game that I want to play, even if it's literally just to do something that I've forgotten about that I'd done 10 years ago. Maybe I didn't realize that you could do the Greybeards quest and not actually pick a side, and I'd go and do that, or I'd go back to the Thieves Guild, although I probably wouldn't do that because I've done that too many times, or I'd just go for a walk in the game when I'm 60 years old and I need a game which isn't too complex for my brain. I think I'll probably go and play Skyrim. And then for my online pick, and this really is not my favorite online game. I am not that passionate about it. I don't play it regularly, but I totally appreciate it for what it is and for how much fun with friends you can have on it. And for me, that would be Grand Theft Auto. Granted, it'd be great if number 6 was out right now, because I'd say number 6. But number 5, I played GTA 5. And I think that is because in some ways it's like an MMO. It keeps getting updated. The content keeps being added to it. There is a absolute vast amount of things you can do it from racing cars and the car experience being really good, the racing experience being really good. I'm getting emails, that's sad. To, doing heists, to walking around the streets, to general chit chat, to whatever it is. When you download GTA and you've got a good group of friends, there is basically unlimited fun to be had, pretty much. Sometimes I'd go on it and I'd just BMX for a while, or I'd get on the road bike and try and ride down Mount Chiliad. I think GTA and GTA 5 specifically is also timeless, and I think GTA 6 will be the same. I think it'll be mind-blowing. And again, like I said, this is not because it's my favorite online game by any stretch of the imagination. I just think if I had to only play one game, that would be the direction I went in, and that's what I'd pick to play. But I'd be really interested to see what you all pick and your reasoning for picking them. It would also be interesting to know, because I think a lot of people who are kind of, I want to say a commuter gamer, but that's not what I mean, like a wireless gamer. Is that it? No, handheld. We got there eventually. A lot of handheld gamers, I think, might have different opinions. I think we'll probably have quite a lot of Pokemon feedback. I think we'll have people saying games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of that stuff, because I think that for me personally, as someone who hasn't had that much experience with that stuff, those games for people are very much things that they feel like they can continue playing over and over and over again. But I am, in general, also a person who's not that good at repeating games. Like most games, other than Skyrim, there's not that many games I've completed multiple times. So I think that comes into it as well. The type of personality you have, the type of game that you like. Anyway, everybody, I wanted to say thank you for being here for this first chitty chatty pod. Apologies for the poor lighting. Apologies for any poor audio. Apologies for the surroundings looking as they look. But I hope you enjoyed just 30 minutes of general chit chat. I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to try and push these episodes to about an hour each. When I've got someone else on here with me, we'll bring multiple sections of news. We'll do a bit more background reading. But what I'd like to ask from you is, if you've got to this point, I would be indebted to you if you could leave some questions in the Discord, and they can be any questions about my gaming or my thoughts on new things, or game ideas or game news that you're really interested in. I would love you to share some questions with me, and I'd also like to invite some of you to come on the pod. Right now, it's just me. Hopefully I'll have a pal coming on soon with me to host it with me, which would be awesome. I've yet to ask them, but we'll see. um, and we'll go from there. And who knows what will change from this. I want it to be consistent. If I'm honest, this is the parts of content that I like the most is the talking and the longer form content. The short form, fast, edity stuff's not really my forte. Sitting and chatting is. And so I'm really looking forward to doing these and hopefully bringing you more entertaining and interesting bits of content. So thank you all for being here. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on any of the other platforms, click a follow, give us a little review or whatever, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have an awesome rest of your day, everybody.